5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And you know I had to tell him. Yeah. The earth is flat. Bro, you need to check your facts. I got high up through the roof. And I landed on the moon. The moon flat too. In reality, everything is just in 2D. Like a video game from 1983. I'm side scrolling up and down the street while y'all sleep. Call me B.O.B. cause I don't see the curve. Messing up my vibe, yeah, you got a lot of nerve. Read a book, nah, I don't wanna learn. Read a book, nah, I don't wanna learn. They say that we are cake. For me and my homies, we don't say it, we just spray it. I'ma leave it, namaste. Do your research, how much I gotta say it. Earth is flat. Bro, you need to check your facts. I got high up through the roof. And I landed on the moon. The moon flat too. In reality, everything is just in 2D. Like a video game from 1983. I'm side scrolling up and down the street while y'all sleep. Y'all sleep. Y'all sleep.
All right, how you doing? I'm Mikey, Jayy, and you're watching KGUP Presents, or you might be listening to us on your favorite podcast platform. And if you didn't already know, we're on 18 different podcast platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, and we're blowing up, especially on Apple Podcasts. So thank you for choosing not to look at my face. I know a lot of people out there love their podcasts, and personally, I'm with you, but I prefer to listen to the shows that I watch, if that makes any sense. So whenever I watch YouTube or Rockfin or Odysee, I watch, the Baby Truther Show, Glowbusters, Conspiracy Castle, or one of my newest favorites is the Mellowdome. I mostly listen to them just because that's just how I roll, because I'm always like on the go, walking around with my earbuds. So, but anyway, speaking of the Mellowdome, we have an awesome guest. He's a truther. He loves to dive into all the facts behind all the conspiracies. He's a fellow flat earther, and he's a father of 3 boys, and he slings a full-time job, all while he co-hosts the hit show, The Mellowdome. Please welcome Austin. I knew I was going to have a tongue twister on that. Awesome Austin of The Mellowdome. How you doing, Austin?
Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. Everyone gets that tongue-tied,
Oh yeah, it's a big tongue
Absolutely.
twister.
I don't even know how it stuck, man. I gave it as my YouTube channel name just to what's catchy, and it's like Awesome Austin. And then in public, when I hear the word awesome, from a distance, it always sounds like my name. So then it kind of became like a joke, like Awesome Austin, same thing, whatever. And
It works.
so now it does it. Yeah, it works.
Yeah, well, thanks
Thank
so
you.
much for coming on the show. Where are you
man.
from originally?
Originally, I'm from Indiana.
Okay.
Then moved down here in Florida. I'm in Central Florida now. Started high school down here and never left.
Oh, okay. Nice. I thought for some reason I thought you were in South Carolina.
You
that
know what?
region.
We had plans on moving in that area, but then the COVID crap. So, and then all of a sudden it was like, wow, Florida is probably the best place to be right now. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I mean those COVID numbers are rising, but we both know that's all artificial.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's crazy,
Absolutely.
man. So how have is the COVID thing, is that why you moved out there? Or did you do that last year?
No. I've been here for a while.
Oh, okay.
I've been in Florida for a while. We were gonna move to South Carolina, but we were just when COVID hit, man. It's just so crazy what happened. It's really No, I don't want to talk bad about like the population in general, but it's just insane how easy the media can just deceive people. It's really sad.
I get it.
And just with everything going on, and my oldest kid was in school, and they were bringing in the mask stuff, so
Yeah.
and immediately it was like, nah, we got to pull them out. We're not going to put masks on our kids. We're not doing that. And then at the time I was already dealing with deprogramming him every weekend, because at the schools, at these indoctrination camps, they're teaching them complete lies, and it's like it's not good. It's like he wasn't being even stimulated as much as he should be. My 9-year-old is very, very bright, and he was already at the top of his class. So then they started masking kids. It's like, nah, we pulled them out immediately. And we started homeschooling. We created our own curriculum that we got approved through the state. And it's been not smooth sailings, but it's been great. It's been an amazing journey. Sometimes a little overwhelming, but for the most part, we wouldn't trade it for anything. We like taking the responsibility of teaching our kids.
Right. I mean, the states are pretty, they're very loose on their regulations. As long as they pass the state testing, I mean, they're pretty good with that,
Right.
I mean, they'll give you all the materials, but they really don't know what you're doing,
Right. Absolutely. See, it's some materials that we use, but then I was able to tweak some things, and then we showed, like, we've pulled from a few different sources and created our own. And of course, I didn't mention anything about flat earth or anything, but we usually handle the science topic myself. Honestly, what we do is we will go through the subjects that are in the program that we've chosen for that subject, and it's basically a good study for him to realize what's the difference between real science and pseudoscience, like about following the scientific method and all that good stuff. And it's good for him to see. He can see like both spectrums of everything, so good for him. And he knows, he laughs at it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
the way they explain gravity to him in his grade, what grade would he be in right now? Third. He laughs at it. He's like, man, this doesn't even make sense. Like, they'll show a picture of an elephant in the field, and then a balloon floating in the air next to the elephant. They say, which of these objects is defying gravity? And it's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, we're really trained to just listen and regurgitate, and we don't use our cognitive ability to critically think. It's not until we get into college that we're really using our critical thinking skills, even though they make us believe that we're critically thinking while we're in high school. And they kind of touch on it when we're in middle school, but the whole education process is just, this is what it is. This is what it is. And, even though there's like
teaching what to think and not how to think.
Right. Like, when I was teaching 8th grade, we were showing the video of Vsauce and then the projection of like the sun flying through infinite space at 1.3 million miles an hour. And I was thinking to myself, this makes no sense.
Man, they show Vsauce videos in school.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, I did not know that. He is terrible, man.
He sounds convincing.
He does. Dude, when I started my journey, I came across the Vsauce, and that's how they portray everything, as if it's a known fact, it's been settled. That's the thing. They're pushing all these theories as full-blown facts. This is absolute fact. It's been done. We've known this forever. And in actuality, everything is just an unproven theory. Fantasy. I'll even take it further. It's fantasy.
and we're easily tricked because they use, very Hollywood style, imagery, and it's good graphics. So it must be real,
Yeah. And even with, they even use math. So like a lot of what science does today, well, I'm not talking about science that applies to the ground, but when it talks about cosmology and stuff, they'll use equations. And if that equation can work out on paper, then it has to be that's fact. That's what it is. But I can show you an equation explaining how Superman can fly. It doesn't mean Superman's flying out there. And, and I've had that conversation with somebody and they respond to me as well. Let me see that equation. Does it work out on paper? And I'm like, do you hear what you're saying?
Yeah.
Hear what you're saying? And then the next one, he's like, well, then, yeah, I would have to see physical proof of someone flying. And it's like that right there. That's what like cosmology does, They think because it works on paper, then that's the fact up there. And it's crazy. Math doesn't describe, or it's not reality. It can describe reality, right? It just describes things. It's a language.
I wish I had that soundbite. Math is reality.
Yeah. Math is reality. Yeah, dude. That's a good soundbite, man.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot from following these guys, Jaron and all them. They're really smart people.
Oh,
a lot of smart people in this community, man. It's amazing.
So how, speaking of flat Earth, how was your introduction to flat Earth? I mean, how did that all start for you?
So, well, how long has it been? There's a lot going on in my life at that time. I just started getting sober. I got clean. Me and my wife, we were heavy on narcotics and methamphetamine for a while. And we were a few months in, like 6 months clean. And I've always been conspiratorial minded, I guess. I already knew about 9/11, bang bang events, all those wonderful things. And so I was a fan. I am still a fan of Sam Tripoli, Tinfoil Hat podcast. I watch that all the time. And at the same time, I was also still listening to Joe Rogan. And he was having Eddie Bravo on, and Eddie Bravo was, wow, dude, I didn't notice it much at the time until I came across David Weiss, right? So his first appearance on Sam Tripoli Tinfoil Hat. Actually, let me start over. I came across a Rob Skiba video for like 10 seconds, and it shook me for a second. Like, whoa, he was talking about seeing Chicago skyline over Lake Michigan, and it was like I watched it for like 30 seconds. It's like, whoa, and I was just like swiped. Nah, I'm good. And then it was like maybe a month or two later, Sam Tripoli had David Weiss on, and he flat smacked the hell out of the whole crew. It was amazing. Like, it blew my mind, right? And I went down this huge rabbit hole. I listened to every Flat Earth podcast of his, and then I found Globebusters, and I started from this is when everything was still on. Like, he had every Globebusters episode still on before he took them down. I started at the very beginning, and I was working at a horse farm. So I was able to keep headphones in all day. So I'm just absorbing, I'm binging it. And then I found Brian Mullins, and just got into the whole science of things. I found Jaron, and it was a wrap after that, man. It blew my mind. And then I thought, like, man, I got to tell everybody, people need to know this. And it's like, they don't want to know it. They think you're crazy. That's what happened.
Yeah, crazy. I'm in the middle of putting together my path to the flat Earth. That was inspired by Karen B. And because they
had a great video.
Oh yeah,
great.
Yeah, she Jaron, going back to him, he had like a whole channel, and I was listening during the time when he deleted all his videos because he couldn't afford a strike without getting his channel deleted.
Mm-hmm.
So he took it off there preemptively. And but someone had mirrored his channel, so I was able to go back all the way back to 2016 and looking at all his informational podcasts where he was just like he did a science quote video from Michio Kaku to Albert Einstein, and then all these like scientists through over the last 120 years, and they all basically debunked their own theories. Mm-hmm. That we can't prove that the Earth is the center of the universe. We can't prove that we're moving, and all this stuff. And it was just blowing my mind. Like, oh my God, this is all the proof that I ever needed. And so I did a bunch of screenshots of all like the major quotes and how, like, I can't remember what scientist was like, we know that the Earth isn't moving, but in favor of the, Jaron is better at requoting his own quotes.
He is very good, very good at it. There's
Yeah.
one quote that blew my mind is from Michio Kaku or whatever, and he talks about how they were when it comes to science, if they're off by like a factor of 2, then it's wrong. But
Yeah,
when it comes to cosmology, they're like off to
by a
the
factor of 10.
Yeah, times like 200 or something, you know?
Yeah.
To the 200th power or something. That's insane. It's ludicrous, really. Like, it's complete fantasy up there, you know?
Yeah, they really have no idea what they're talking about.
No idea. And you know, I'm coming to find out that I think a lot of these scientists back in the day, from like Galileo and even up to Einstein, I think as they were, you know, coming out with these theories, they were also claiming them to be theories as well. I don't think until after a lot of these people died is when they started pushing these as facts, you know?
Right.
I think a lot of these scientists knew that they were just theories while they were alive. They were all just contemplating theories of what it could be, you know? And then as World War II comes around and you got these Rockefellers and all these literally taking over the education system and everything, you know, every book is like, the root of it is a Rockefeller funded textbook. And they started solidifying all of these theories as facts, you know?
Right.
And then even putting stuff in like the Aristophanes thing where sticks and shadows prove we live on a ball, you know? And you look into that and there's no other scientist talking about him during his time.
Because it doesn't prove either way.
Absolutely, it doesn't. Because a lot of people don't know that we think the sun is smaller and closer to the surface of the earth than, you know, we're not a disc in space with other balls. You know,
yeah.
Totally different cosmology.
Sometimes I get those questions all the time. It's like, well, do you think that the earth is a disc, but all the other planets are round and spherical? I go, no. And then
not at all.
It's just one argument after another, and it's never ending. And I have to just end it because it just sucks the energy out of me, because it's just an endless argument, because people want to hold on to this fantasy so hard. They don't want their reality crushed. So they'll hold on to any part of it they can.
Right. And again, they think that what they taught was absolute truth. I mean, when it's pounded into your head every day, you know, we were told that the earth was a ball before we could walk and talk. My youngest, my 4-year-old,
mm-hmm.
he hasn't had any schooling and he's about to start soon, but just based off the shows he watches, he has told me, like, we'll talk about flat earth with my son and he'll interrupt us. He'll like, earth isn't flat, it's round. Just because every season of an episode, they have one episode where they got to push in this cosmology. Look at all the planets. They're dancing with the planets and there's a ball in space, you know, every episode. I'm like, okay, we'll skip this one. Skip. Right. I have to make sure the programming is deep. It's everywhere, you know? And once you find out this truth, you just see it everywhere. Like, oh my gosh, they just pounded into us, you know?
Right.
It's a real psychological mindfuck. It is, you know, excuse my French, but it's terrible. Like, we spend our whole lives observing level water, our entire lives. The properties of water, it takes the shape of its container, and at rest it levels off. You know, we wake up in the morning, we go to the bathroom, our toilet tells us those properties are true. We put water in a bathtub, same thing, same properties apply. You move it to a pool, to a pond, to a lake, to the ocean. At what size do the properties of water cease to exist? Never. So because of cartoons, you know, pushed onto us since birth, you know, we think we're living on this all spinning, but we're observing level water everywhere, and Earth is covered in supposedly over 70% level water. It's just impossible. It's impossible. You know, it's brainwashing at its finest. They do a great job.
Yeah. In one of the very first videos I ever watched was the 200 proofs the Earth is not a spinning ball. And that, you know, opened my brain to it. And like, I discovered the, what's that experiment? I'm terrible with names.
Which one? I got the book right here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I've been through this thing so many times.
Yeah, I've listened to his 8-hour podcast or audio podcast of that book, and I listened to it numerous times.
Me too, man. Me too. Fascinating, all of it. It's really liberating. It's really liberating to find out that. I mean, at first it's scary, but after it all, it's really liberating to know, like, wow, we're not insignificant. We're not could be wiped out by a rock from the sky, or like there is a creator. This does prove a creator. It's put me at ease for that. I've questioned that my whole life. I've been wrapped up in I've used to do Bible studies years ago in high school. And then I completely turned away from it. Got wrapped up in life, and then science. I thought science was legit, dude. I believed in like a dual sun, that there was like some other sun that we figured ate around, and and I thought I was smart. I thought I knew a lot, but it's all lies,
Yeah.
All of it.
I used to think that I was woke, back before I discovered that the earth was, not a spinning ball. And all these conspiracies, they don't tie together. You know that the government's always lying, but discovering that the earth is a, whatever it is, we're encapsulated in this like dome where space doesn't exist. And it makes the Bible, it confirms that what was written in the Bible is true, that we're in a containment. We don't know how long or how far the earth goes. I mean, we really don't know, because we're not allowed to go past the 60th parallel. Right. So until we can prove that, there is an edge, or there isn't, that it is infinite. I mean, we would probably never know, because we couldn't go that far. But, there was another video that I watched, that I had my wife watch, and it was by the Pillar of Truth. And it's called World Upside Down. And it's got a religious tone to it. And because we were moving from LA to here, because I was becoming a flat earther at the time. And
so you're like really new to all this, right?
Yeah. And the end of 2019 is when I started to discover everything.
See, I'm not that far away from you. I'm only like maybe a year and a half longer, if that.
Yeah, I definitely feel like a baby truther.
Yeah. It's man. Yeah, it's I mean, you already knew about most truth. It's just the flat earth, and it changed me. Like, I knew about a lot of the deceptions, but I carried on in my life. It didn't nothing affected me to the point where it shook me, and I was like, I need to do something about this. But when you come across flat earth, it's like, wow, dude, they lied about where we live. Why is the purpose of that? I got to find out, and you keep digging into it, and you find out it's I think there's many reasons. Free energy is a reason. Control, could be more land, could be more resources. But I think at the end of it all, I think it is about discrediting the creator, because when you look at modern day science, it's all about trying to discredit the creator. What's the first thing they teach our kids in school? They don't teach our kids that God is real and we are special. They teach our kids that dinosaurs that we came from monkeys, and dinosaurs used to live here, but then they got wiped out by a rock, and one day it could happen to you, because you don't matter. We're just in the Goldilocks zone. We just happen to exist, and just putting that as a foundation, like, no wonder society is going where it is,
Yeah. I mean, we're living in a godless society. So, whatever we do, you live once and that's it. And there's nothing afterwards. So you might as well live it all right now and just, be everything and as much as you can in this moment, because there's nothing else beyond it. Right. So people just have this, this way of thinking about life, that there is no repercussion for whatever you do.
Right.
Except for the laws or whatever.
Yeah, so you don't get in trouble. Right?
Yeah.
So you don't get caught. There's like, it's biblical to me because when I keep thinking about it, it's like, man, the devil is the master of deception, and he got the whole world thinking they live on that they're on a speck in an ever expanding universe, you know, far away from any God. You know, it puts people, as long as that cosmology is here, it's going to allow people to question if there is a creator. If people grew up knowing that we are at the center of the universe, we're special, this place is created for us, it's, you know, it's intelligently designed, obviously, just like our bodies and our eyes, everything from the, you know, from the micro to the macro, you know, we're special. If we knew that from the beginning, I think we would be a lot harder to deceive certain people. You know, it's it's hard to, people are really, because I don't think God's real. I know he's real. I used to think he was real, but whatever it is, you know, whatever you want to call him, you know, I like to say creator, Yahweh, that's, you know, but when you get into it, even like the modern day churches got it all wrong. Everything's inverted. They don't have the truth. It's all, and you know, people are always looking for the answers, and it's like a huge
scam
journey. Yeah, but this whole awakening of flat earth it's not about the shape of the earth. It's really, you start going within, and it's hard to explain. It's very liberating to me. I really like the feeling of it, and I want others to feel that. I want them to feel that power, because it is a power. You know, you do gain power from knowledge, you know.
It's true.
And I want people to feel that. You know, I don't want them thinking they're insignificant and they can't, you know, that they don't matter, you know, or if there is a God and they're scared to breathe air and all this crazy stuff. You know, like, we're stronger than that, you know. We're co-creators. I feel like our creator has given us powers, and we're here to create, and the powers that be know that, right? And so they're using our own powers against us with the propaganda and the brainwashing. They put it on the television, and we soak it up thinking we can trust these things, right? And then we project it out into the world. Well, it becomes real to all these people, you know, and it's a false reality that people are living in, and people aren't grounded. They're spinning out of control, just like their cosmology, order out of chaos.
Exactly. I don't know if you watched my interview with David Weiss, but I had mentioned to him that,
I've watched almost every interview he's done.
yeah, same here. But back in 2017, I used to do Uber. I did it for about 3 years, and I picked up a guy from JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and he was an astronautical engineer. And on the way to the airport, we saw the Falcon 9 hit the firmament, and he confirmed it. And he's like, yeah, we've never been to space. That's just the rocket hitting the ceiling. And I was like, wow, that's real. Just like in the Bible. He's like, yeah, that's real. He's like, we've never landed on the moon because we've never even gone into space. He's like, that's
crazy, dude. So you talking about the one where the video where you see it enter into like a denser liquid up there?
Yeah.
Right? And it stops spinning immediately.
I mean, there's thousands of videos.
Crazy. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
People are getting in accidents. And what it looked like, you know, a boat just riding over the water, except it was 73 miles out. And it lit up the sky, and it looked like it was 100 miles wide because it was so massive. And you can see the rockets bouncing off after they departed from the main rocket.
Right.
And they were flying north. So they were going into the firmament. So you could see that the rocket was spinning and not going anywhere. So it was just the trippiest thing. Cause the first thing I said was like, is that aliens? He's like, oh no, that's SpaceX, the Falcon 9. They just launched tonight, and that's why I'm headed over.
I've seen a video like that as well. And you know, I've also seen ancient depictions of almost the same thing. Like they have like in these books talking about stars going across, and they would have like a little person inside the star in the same shape that you've seen from the SpaceX rocket. It looks like the same thing, but it had like a little person like riding a thing. But I seen a lot of those. I have a video of mine. I recorded one early morning. They launched from Florida, and you could see it's like how a boat would leave a wake. Like you've seen it up there, you know, and it's going horizontal. Of course, it wasn't going any higher at all. It's crazy. I think, I mean, and they tell us truth sprinkled with bullshit. I feel like with a lot, like the Van Allen belts, you know, that's the firmament, right? They just give it a different name. They say it's an impenetrable barrier and we can't go past it, right? Even though they claim they went to the moon, the Van Allen belts didn't exist back then, but it's a thing now.
I mean, there was over like 6 astronauts that went on record that said we haven't developed the technology to go out in outer space. So
go beyond low Earth orbit. Yeah.
And how do people not remember that? Or I think they're just preoccupied with so much crap that they don't have the patience to watch anything through. Like I was watching, I used to watch the 24-hour NASA feed with my students while they were like working on their projects or whatever. And then one of my students was like, "Hey, I just saw that. We just saw that 15 minutes ago." I was like, "What did you see?" And he's like, "Well, they're replaying the same clip." And then they were just, transferring their cables from one piece of equipment to another. And they were just moving around. I mean, they were literally doing nothing out there. And I'm just watching them like, yeah, you're right. They're not doing anything. We just saw this. They're doing the exact same thing. And so a half hour goes by and nothing new was happening. They didn't plug in or detach anything. They were literally just moving the clip. Right. Which, if they're underwater and that's what they're simulating, and and they're just having a green screen, because if you go to the aquatic center, that's I think that's out in Arizona or whatever, their NASA facility, the
buoyancy lab.
Yeah,
and the whole thing's underwater. The whole ISS.
Yeah, in a pool. It's all blue, so they can easily just turn on the green screen.
I think that's what they do. I don't know if you caught the last Globebusters with Eru's presentation about how easy it is to fake like a spacewalk or something like that. Like they can. So, just 20 years ago, if you watch that footage 20 years ago, what they were doing, like one of their first spacewalks and stuff, it's completely 2D and flat. Like it's so cartoonish. But now with today's technology, they're able to, like what I think they're doing during a spacewalk these days is they're just taking a picture of a high altitude balloon that's pointing down at the ground. So you see all the clouds, they're taking a picture of it and they tilt it a little bit. And then curve it, and then they got it on, a back screen or whatever, and they just throw it onto the screen after they're filming people underwater. I mean, it sounds like it's underwater when they're changing their hooks from one eye hook to the next eye hook. They're just moving around, and you got to think they're moving at 17,500 miles an hour. So while you're watching that right now, as you're watching it, there are just blasting 17,500 miles an hour. Like as you're watching that, like does it look like they're going that fast? Because the earth under them is not even moving. Yeah,
it's barely moving at all. It's
human can't move that fast. Like there's so much logic to this. A human cannot physically go that fast. Like it's impossible.
No,
it's
and people don't question it. Like they just take it as fact. And even all the scientists that I was researching, I mean, they even all say that it's based on philosophical reasoning.
Right.
That there is no actual fact.
There's no observable experiment at all that can prove any of that.
Empirically,
we
can't observe anything. Oh, but the Hubble Space, telescope, it confirms everything that we know. And we launched that satellite back in 1972, and it's still sending us back pictures. I'm like, do you really?
Yeah, they supposedly just fixed it, and now it's gonna start taking pictures again. It's crazy.
If
just
Mars,
to think, let me get the lens specs. What's the lens specs on that?
Right. And if and if it's as cold as they claim it is in Mars, like how are the cameras working at all? They would be just frozen over. And
on the
nothing
moon
would
landings,
work.
didn't they admit that those cameras, they didn't even do any extra things to those cameras to protect them from the environment? The batteries worked fine in the freezing cold temperature, no problem. The lens never cracked from the temperatures changing from extreme hot to the extreme cold. The radiation didn't destroy the film. It's insane.
That's what also boggles my mind, is that there's a lot of people that don't believe in the whole moon landing, but yet they believe space exists.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Come on.
I didn't believe it at all. I've never believed the moon landings. They always looked ridiculous, but I did think that it was like, there was some time where I did believe like, oh, they faked it because, there's like other shit out there, and there's like fortress on the other side. And, I used to think that stuff. I was heavy with aliens. I was all about me some aliens, man.
Oh yeah. Same here. Like,
but
my
that
head
could still be a thing.
My head was in the stars when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
I grew up watching
me some Star Wars and Avengers and all that stuff.
If it had anything to do with science fiction, I watched it. Like, whether it was bad or not,
I still do. I got 3 boys, we got movie nights, and I like the sci-fi stuff. Now I'm really just watching movies and dissecting all the stuff, right. All the subliminal messages. Like, that drives my family crazy, but my son's gotten pretty good at it. Like, he showed me a video the other day. He watches this cartoon called Teen Titans Go, and he freaked out. He's like, Dad, get in here right now. And he showed me, and they were talking about flat Earth. The little Beast Boy kid was like, nah, Earth is flat, yo. And they're like, what about pictures of Earth from space? And he smacked the pictures out of their hand. He's like, those are fake, yo. He's like, Earth is flat like a pancake. What? And then and he described it, and then he's like, and then the butter goes around the edge of the pancake, and that's Antarctica, fool. And he's like, and then you pour the syrup in. Yeah, and then he was like, then you pour the syrup in, and the syrup is the oceans, and the butter holds in the oceans. Earth is flat, fool. I couldn't believe it, man. My son lost his mind.
It's like David Weiss as a kid.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I'd have to look that up and watch it. That's funny.
I'll send it to you after this.
It's funny what they say, like the lies in the news and truth in the movies. It's definitely true. I mean, they reveal everything because it's in fantasy and it's fiction. We just don't think about it,
Right. Yeah, it's been proven. What do you mean? It's a mind fuck, dude. I just keep going back to that. It's such a crazy. My sister, right? She's like really big into the Bible, her and her husband, and I told them about it. This is like the first time I set up a flat earth meetup, and just a couple people showed up, and it was me, one other flat earther, and then it was my sister and her daughter, and it just ended up being a flat smacking the whole time. And it was like the science was so, like, she couldn't get past it. But then I brought up the Bible, and I sent her detailed of like over 200 scriptures that describe Earth as immovable, enclosed, firmament, all that good stuff. And within a week, she's like, oh my gosh, it's flat. We live in a flat. It just took, the scriptures, because she was so heavy in it. So I use a lot of that to just try to wake people up. I got peer-reviewed scientific experiments proving we haven't moved, and they found the ether, the rotation of the ether. And then we'll use government documents. You want to talk about NASA, buddy? We'll talk about NASA. Here's government documents talking about Earth being flat and non-rotating. And then I'll go, you want to bring up the Bible and stuff? Okay, I got 200 scriptures that describes Earth as an enclosed system, flat and level, baby. I got it all documented. I'll send it to you right now.
Yeah.
I think it's important to know that this is when people are like, oh, what does it matter? It's not going to change my life. It's changed my life completely. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, I've changed my whole life. Me and my wife, we've never been better. The relationship we have with our kids, just everything, just finding out this truth just really keeps you an honest person. I feel like, it makes you want to be a better person, because like, hey, we're created. There's the big guys up there, Yeah.
And we just question everything that we see now. And
right.
we should have been the whole time. we've always been taught to question the government and question in everything that we're told and verify it, prove it. And, you know, I went to school to become a journalist. And so I was just naturally into investigating things. And, you know, slowly I was discovering that, you know, the people that we voted for weren't telling the truth, you know, like in 2008 when, you know, I was in support of Obama at the time and because everybody was. And
you didn't want to be a racist, right?
when I discovered that, you know, the Obamacare was just a complete lie, and he was really just a spokesperson for the major healthcare corporations that wanted to eliminate the competition. I was like, this is not what we voted him in for.
Right.
You know, people are going broke because they can't afford the insurance premiums now. And
yeah,
it only serves the people who can't afford insurance at all.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise,
it's a rigged system, man.
Yeah, and you know, it went from 3,000 companies to 300, and so all these corporations that were just going out of business. And I was like, I can't support this anymore. And I started revealing the truth. At that time, you know, we had a blog, and we were, you know, like all of the journalists that I was in class with, we started a blog, and we all wrote these articles. And I was just like this anti, like, Obama person all of a sudden. And then, you know, when the Occupy movement started happening, I was going to all the protests, and I was like pissed off because nothing happened from it. Like, we were protesting for nothing. And the news just started like squashing what we were doing. And it was a big coordinated event. And like, he went around from state to state, and he taught everybody how to dismantle these Occupy movements. Just silence it. Don't go out and report it. And it's exactly what happened. It just fizzled out and went away. And by the time they went to court, nobody went to jail. Nobody got any kind of like reprimand for it. One person went to jail because he turned himself in, and that was it. And like, these CEOs walked away with millions of dollars, and all of us who lost their homes were just screwed, you know? And so,
yeah, man, it's messed up.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I never really bought into the politics. When I was in 7th grade, it was during the Bush and Gore, right?
Yeah.
And the recounting and all that crap. And my social studies teacher, I thank him every day for it. We were really digging into that whole thing. He was I don't know who he was for, but he was a smart man, and he taught us all about the Electoral College and how that works. And from that moment on, I'm like, wow, this is completely rigged. This whole system is not real. Like,
oh yeah,
they can sway anything they want. They can, you know, they can manipulate the whole system easily with the Electoral College. Who's in it? You find out who's in it. You know, it's crazy. I remember going home and telling my mom and dad, and I just never bought into it. And then next thing you know, here comes, I don't remember if that was after or before 9/11, but even 9/11, I remember like very soon after that, there was videos coming out. And, you know, I never, at that time, it wasn't like the no planes thing. That was later, but like right away, it's like, wow, this is a complete inside job, man. And I just never trusted it ever again. I didn't vote. And my whole thing is, a lot of people don't agree with it, but I just choose not to participate. I feel like they're lying to us. And our biggest, the biggest thing is people are still playing the game. And if everyone stopped playing the game, then they would lose their power over us. For example, so let's say what happened with Biden and Trump, right? And they're giving us false numbers after, obviously, and just taking the whole election, right? Well, what if nobody went to the voting booths? What if nobody went and voted? They couldn't give us even false numbers the next day. You know, what would they have to say? If everyone knows that we're not going to the voting booths to do this, the next day they couldn't say, oh, well, Biden won in a landslide, or he has the most votes ever in history. And people would be like, no, actually, nobody went to the voting booths. Like, the power would be gone, you know? So I get into it with a couple people. It's like, that's what got us here. Voting for the lesser two evils is, you know, what got us in this situation. It's completely rigged, gotten you thinking like these people care about you, and people who've been neighbors for 30 years are fighting and screaming at each other's faces over rich old dudes who don't care about either of them.
It's all by design.
Oh yeah, it looked like Crips versus the Bloods. I bartend in a retirement community. It's a big tourist area for retirees down here in Florida. And man, I'm telling you, it was like Crips against the Bloods out there. It was crazy. Like they all got golf carts and they got their shit decked out and they're putting stickers on their back windows, like a sticker, like a side view of Trump, as if he's like riding in the car with them. And it was insane. I'm so glad it's over with, but it's here comes it's gonna come again with DeSantis and Trump and all that. I feel like DeSantis is like this Trump 2.0 character.
Oh God,
it's all a facade, man. No one gets to that level without playing ball. That's how I look at it. I feel like if government was downsized a lot more to a local level, it'd work. It'd be great. That's at a local level, for the most part, it does work, except for corrupt counties around me like Broward County. That place is terrible, but
they're all corrupt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their primary goal is just to make money.
Yep. Yeah. We're not a country. We're a corporation.
I don't know if you've watched any of Alex Stein's live feeds whenever he would call into the mayor's office and complain about whatever, the mask. I've
never seen that one, but I do watch a lot of them.
I just realized that it's just a show. That's all it is. They give you a platform to make you believe that what you say matters. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. They just let you speak your mind and then they move on, because like the mayor of Dallas, I mean, he had no reaction. It's like, what are you going to do about it?
Right.
All these companies are going out of business and you're forcing people to, wear a mask and all this stuff. And ultimately nothing changes, because he has a duty. He has to abide by his party and he's got to do, such and such. And if he want to maintain his job and get that paycheck,
status.
Yeah. So he's got to keep everything status quo. And regardless of what anybody says or objects, it's like, well, we're the party that won, so I don't care what you say. Right. So, and I haven't, for a minute, I was, a Republican, and I regret voting for Trump, because he just turned out to be a big liar, just like all of them. And I wasn't a big fan of Bush either, because of the whole war propaganda and
weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, I mean, we went to war with the countries that had nothing to do with the war, with the towers. I'm like, does people not see what's happening? That we're just being duped? That it's just a corporate takeover? It's to get rid of any sovereignty that we have in this world, so we can implement these corporate laws and ordinances. I mean, America is just one big corporate ordinance.
Yeah.
We don't follow the natural common law in this country at all.
Right.
Otherwise, we would be able to say whatever we wanted on all the social media platforms. But it's the corporations that have taken over completely. So we have the U.S. Constitution doesn't exist.
No. They don't even follow it, dude. It's the world's full of rich man tricks, and where was I going to go with that? The whole political system is just a slavery tool, it's modern day slavery. There's this video out. What is it called? It's called Jones's Plantation. Have you seen it?
I don't think so.
It's a little cartoon. Like 20 minutes long, and it starts off about this plantation owned by a guy named Mr. Jones, and he had these group of slaves, and he told them that they were no longer slaves. They were going to be free, right? And they were free to leave the property if they wanted to, but other plantations would probably take you as slaves, so it's best if you just stayed here. And since you're going to stay here, you got to pay to stay here. And since you have no way to pay, then I'm going to provide you a job. That way you can pay to stay here. And you guys can, I'm going to give you 2 ranch farm managers, you can either vote for this one or this one, and then he's going to make the decisions for you. And then you guys can do like monthly meetings, right? And it was all a facade just to try and trick people, into being here. Like, you're free, but you can't leave. And, you can stay here, but you got to pay, and we're going to keep fucking you. It's great analogy. The way I probably didn't do it, it's justice, but it's out there. It's good. And that's how I look at it.
We're all Jones's slaves.
Yeah. But people think we're free because we can go pick between, how many flavors does Baskin Robbins have? Like 32. We can go pick between 32 different flavors of ice cream. I'm free. What are you talking about? I'm free. But you got to wear a mask, go in there, and then pretty soon you're going to have to be vaccinated, go in there. So how free are we?
We're free to consume.
People here in America are in a bubble. Yeah, free to consume, obey, consume, be a drone. It's insane. And that I don't want my son to be this drone, this non-thinking drone. I want my kids to grow up and be inspirational and have morals and know right from wrong and speak your truths. I don't want to grow up. I don't want to raise cowards. And in this society, they really took away the masculinity of a man and then presented this false masculinity. And then now they're like, dude, they're inverting everything. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, today it's being a man is growing a beard and going to the gym and bulking yourself up. That we're just the shell of man.
Right. I mean, it's good to have, we all have different properties, feminine qualities, masculine qualities, it's, you have to have a good balance of everything.
Yeah.
I was looking for a good quote that I wanted to say about drones, but I lost it.
Yeah. Sometimes I battle with that in my own self, that I feel like, I have nothing to distinguish myself from another gender, that my masculinity has just been completely wiped away from society, that, I need to just accept it,
Yeah, but that's because people have this false sense of what masculinity is. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
that it's toxic.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. We're the bad guys. So
yeah,
I homeschool my kids, and they even say like homeschool kids are weird. They're going to be socially awkward, right? Well, they're masking kids in school and making them stay 6 feet apart. How socially awkward are they going to be?
Yeah,
that these kids are going to grow up and scared of, like, they're going to be uncomfortable without their face mask. I've already seen it. And I live across the street from a school. I see these kids. Last year they were, I'm in Florida, dude. It's hot for me to wear jeans, right?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine wearing jeans, and they're out here with black face masks. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're making me hot. I'm just watching you. Take it off your face, man.
They just want to hide.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons, and I shouldn't, it shouldn't upset me, but it does, because I know that the people who did it, it's so wrong, man. It's wrong. It's a slavery technique.
Yeah. I mean, kids walk around with hoodies, and it's 98 degrees outside and 90% humidity, and yet they still have their hood over their head, and it's because they're hiding.
Yeah.
So they have no problem putting on the mask because they don't want people looking at them.
Mm-hmm. Then they'll have the hoodie and the mask. I'm like, you're driving me, you're making me sweat.
Right? It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. I have this saying, it says, people say homeschool kids are weird. When they say weird, does that mean they can't be molded into a state-approved homogeneous drone that cannot think out of the prescribed consensus, only learning to repeat information instead of how to actually think for themselves? If so, then yes, my kids are weird as fuck.
Nice.
And that's, I want, like, my goal, like, this whole flat earth journey is like so far away from what is this place. Like, it's now like I need to find others like me with like the moves that's like this right here, what we're doing is, I think, important. You know, we need to make these, we need to do our networking. We need to have connections. We need to find a tribe, I guess you would say, right? Yeah. Because, you know, people like us we're getting targets on our backs just because we question things, because we're not following the narrative, and then we're being looked at like enemies. Like, yeah, I feel like they're pushing towards people like us to be like domestic terrorists, you know, and it's disgusting. Like, I just want to be left alone and raise my kids how I want to. I don't want them to be fed lies. You know, sorry, I don't think we live on a spinning ball, and that I don't think, you know, flu season is a thing. Yeah. Like, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say there is going to be another lockdown that's going to be happening soon, and they've already in the school district, they've already designated a school entirely for virtual learning. So all the kids that don't want to be, you know, get the magic juice, whatever. Right. They're all all the teachers are going to have to go there that are refusing the juice, and then all the students that refuse the juice as well, they all have to go there as well. And I'm fine with it as long as I get to go there. Right. I know. Right. Yeah. Send me there. And that's another thing, I think. But they're segregating. Yes, dude. They are causing a division between the people, and that's what they always do. Like, let's say they did get 90% of people to be vaxxed, even though it's never going to happen, right? I feel like they would still push it as like, oh, only 50% are vaxxed, and make us point fingers at each other. Everything's like a division tool, you know, pandemic of the unvaxxed. Get out of here. Yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't even be saying those words. I don't want to. Well, you're going to edit later, right? I really don't edit. I like to just leave it as is, as raw as, you know, if it does get taken down, like whatever, I'll just put it on Odysee. And I am going to apply for Rockfin. I just need someone to like vouch for me. Hey, Al, you know Baldini? Yes. You ever heard of Baldini? I don't know. We've never talked. Well, he's a great guy, and you know, he's starting a 24/7 Rockfin channel for smaller shows that don't have a big audience, and just to get exposure out there. And so he's reaching out to people. I'll send your email to him and stuff. He'll reach out to you because he's just, you know, I'm just gonna send him the copies of my shows, and he's just going to throw it out there for exposure. I don't care. Oh, so it's going to be like the 24-hour Glowbusters. Glowbusters, yep. Nice. But it's going to be all these newer shows, these newer truther shows, you know? So if you wanted to get in on that, you know, that'd be great. You know, that'd be a foot in the door in Rockfin, you know? Yeah. Because I like Rockfin. It's awesome. I mean, I'm not there. I don't see our show going there for a while because, I don't know. I don't think my content's that good to like put it behind a paywall. But I mean, you may you naturally get exposure to it, but you know, like I'm with you. I mean, I'm doing this as long as I can to build an audience, and then maybe shift over, you know, if shit gets really bad. But there's great content on there already. Like I've already got my money's worth, like, and some. Like it's like the old YouTube before they went crazy, like people say. Like, man, there's such good stuff on there. Know? And it's good to see people like Jaron and Karen and Brian and all them and Glowbusters to, you know, they deserve that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like they do awesome work, and they've woke up, dude, so many people. And they're real. Like I've met Karen B. She's as real as she is on the screen. So is Brian and David Weiss. And, you know, it's an amazing experience, you know, going to those events like Solar Return and Flattoberfest. It's good to find people that are like-minded. You go crazy finding this stuff out and not being around like-minded people. Yeah, your wife is on board, right? Oh yeah, totally. She talks about flat Earth probably more than I do. Even though I have like a huge audience, but she just has like a real natural way of bringing up the conversation where I have a tendency of like, I got to really know the person before I drop the FE word. Yeah. Because I'm go ahead. But you know, I didn't move forward with this until this year because I was, reluctant to, talk about it because I was, I thought I was going to be ridiculed and like judged and,
Right.
All these haters are going to come out and just bash
Right.
me. But, I realized nobody was really supportive of me in the first place. Like, I had like 1,000 views per video that I put out, but no one was interacting. No one really gave a shit. And artists and the music artists that I would promote, I mean, they only cared as long as I was talking about them when their song came out.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I was completely forgotten. People didn't follow my channel and support everything that I was doing. It was kind of like, in this community, they support everything that you do. They follow you around. They comment all the time. They watch from beginning to end. I know because the comments reflect that. So, and, if I really needed help or, or needed something, I knew I can turn to any of you guys.
Absolutely, man. I've seen it happen. Like, and this is like a family, a second family to me, to be honest with you, man. Like, you're a brother to me now, straight up, this is when, this whole like-minded, I have no friends. Okay. I got my wife and my boys. That's it. Those are my friends. Like in reality, well, there's 2 other people and I flat smacked them. So I had to turn them into flat earthers. Right. So, and, now their wives and their kids, they're all flat earthers, but other than that, in my actual real life, no, there's not, that's it, and I rarely see them because they have their own lives going on and they're not, they know the earth is flat, but they're not like us, willing to tell people, they're not going really public about it. So I really cherish this community, and dude, I'm telling you, are you planning on going to Flighttoberfest?
I would like to, but I don't know if I can, just because of the schedule conflict in my work, and my wife has a conference in Las Vegas. I think that during the end of October. So,
maybe you can go to like Solar Return or something because, dude, I'm telling you, it's
I definitely
so
want to
worth
go.
it. Like, the feeling, like saying, oh, you could cut the tension with a knife, like you get this, like, well, it's that, like, you can walk into this energy. It's so amazing. It's overwhelming. It was the best experience of my life, and I can't wait for Flighttoberfest. This time we're bringing our kids because so many people bring their kids, right?
Yeah.
And my oldest, he's really, this whole thing has affected him the most, this COVID thing, because we pulled him out of school, we kept him home. He has no friends now, and now he's like, am I the only kid that's being told to stay home and told that COVID's not real and the earth is flat and all this stuff? Well, now he's going to come with us and find all these kids his age and be like, hey, there's other kids out there like me that's going through this. Like, all right. You know what I mean? So I want this to be a really good experience for all of us. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah.
I wish, I fantasize like living off grid somewhere in a community like that, without, any craziness going on. And, every front yard is a garden, and, we all, pass around, like foodscape, and each house has their own designated plants, what they should be growing, and really community based, like, teaching our own kids. Like, I think it could be like that someday, maybe not my lifetime, but
I mean,
that's where I would like.
They did that in the 60s in Northern California. I mean, they had this whole like off the grid town, and they're
just popping up now all over the place.
Yeah,
there's these places called Beartarias, like it's happening. So, and that's really the next place, like, because we are planning on moving again, and when we do, like, we're looking for something like that, to be honest with you. I mean, I would go Amish. I mean, if it wasn't for the electricity, I mean, I'd go Mennonite, I guess.
I mean, if push comes to the shove, I mean, Texas is slowly becoming a kind of like a mini California, because so many people have left California to move to Texas, and so we're gonna get their politics. Yeah,
they're gonna ruin it.
Yeah, and I already see it. I mean, there are so many people that I know that moved from California. They have that California mentality, and so, and they're going to bring their politics, and they're going to bring their scared mentality, because they all watch television, and I I can't really relate with people that watch television. You know, they go
Me
home,
neither, man.
turn on the news, and then you could just see the fear in their eyes because they walk around with a mask, and then they're they're just in this fog, like this mindless zombie mode. And
they're just regurgitating what they heard, and it's just, dude, I don't even want to hear it. Like, I'll just tone it out, and like, yeah, cool, man, cool. And then sometimes I got coworkers that are so wrapped up in it that I would just say, I don't believe any of that stuff that you're telling me. I don't believe any of it. Like, I don't watch television. Like, no, that's what I'm telling them. I'll cut them off. Like, hey, just don't believe any of that stuff you're telling me right now.
Yeah, because you're not under a spell.
Right.
I mean, the frequencies that emits from the television, I mean, that's why they call it a channel. That's why they call it programming, because they are actually programming people who watch it. Like, I watch TV, but I don't go. I stay away from 2 to 13. I don't watch anything that's mainstream. Like,
I mean, you turn on the news, you can feel the negativity coming off of it. I took my wife out for her birthday a couple weeks ago, and we were at this restaurant called El Torreo's. There's all these televisions on. They're all like sports, but then one was the news, and I just happened to notice it. And within 30 seconds, they were flashing the fires in California, the Delta's raging, more fear next after these commercials. It's like, dude, can someone please go turn that off? Please turn that off. Like, I can feel the negativity, like the low vibrations coming to me, and then people will get that low vibration from the TV and then try to pass it on to you. They're regurgitating it to you. It's work. And it's like, stop right now. I don't even want to feel those vibrations. I don't believe any of it. Don't want to hear it. Do not care.
Then people will send you messages, because you're in Florida and they had that big spike of 19,000 in cases in like 1 week or whatever, one weekend. Dude. They're like, we're worried about you.
Dude, I've been getting all these articles coming across my phone. Like you would think everyone's dying in Florida right now. Like, they're, oh my gosh, my neighbors must be dead. But there's nothing going on. They're obviously just targeting us because of the bullshit.
Athletes just go on a vacation for a week and then they're back on the roster.
I heard that the NFL, they're going to start making the unvaccinated wear yellow bands on their arms during games.
Stupid.
I don't know how true that is. I mean,
what is that going to do? It's like, oh, don't tackle that guy.
yeah, right. And it's funny, they use the same color yellow, like in World War II. They put the yellow stars on the
we're getting close to that. We're getting very, very close to that. And
I took my wife to the hospital. She had a little accident. We thought she broke her nose. And we got basically ran out of the hospital because I wouldn't put on a mask. And the people in the waiting room were like, yeah, get out of here. Like cheering for us to leave. It was insane. Wow. It was Twilight Zone, dude.
Because
I'm not going to play sick. Yeah, man. There was a guy in there who was like, you think you're smart not getting the vaccine? And I'm like, you think you're smart watching TV? I was like, you think the government cares about you? And he's like going on and on. I said, name one ingredient. I can name 5 off the top of my head. Name one right now. You can't. You don't know anything. And he's like, you need to go back to school. You must be a Trumper. I'm like, you didn't hear me? I said, fuck the government. What? Like, no. And then my wife was like, because first they wouldn't even let me sit down with her. She came in, she put the mask on her chin. She's like, fuck it. But she knew that there's going to be trouble, right? So I walk in and the nurse and the security guard right away, they're like getting in between me and the chairs. And there's people over there sitting down, a bunch of dudes with masks on. I'm like, I'm not going to put a mask on. I'm not sick. And they're like yelling at me, like, put it on right now or you need to leave. And I said, this was Nazi stuff. The lady even agreed with me. She's like, yes, sir, it is, but I don't make the rules. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So you just comply. Then I sit down with my wife, and then that's when the old man's getting on us about being unvaxxed. And then he kept saying, you think I'm scared of you? I'm not scared of you. I was like, dude, we're on the same team, bro. I don't want to fight you. Like what? And my wife was like, that's it. Everybody is crazy. Like, we're leaving. I was like, good. I put the mask off. Let's get out of here. And then that's when everyone was like, yeah, get out of here. They finally opened their mouth. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, no problem. I'm leaving, guys. Like, yeah, get up out of here. I'm like, wow, destruction of America. I called all the guys in there pussies. I said, all the men in here are pussies. Like, deuces, walked out the door.
Yeah, tell that to my face.
Yeah, right, dude.
Yeah.
I lost, and then my wife breaking down in the parking lot after, and it's like she doesn't even like. How can we trust someone about our health when we don't even agree with something as simple as a mask or the idea of a virus, or you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's scary, and like, what if something happens for my kids and they break their leg, and we're gonna have to cuck to all these rules just to get him looked at, and then we take that a step further. If we allow this, then they're going to be taking it further with vaccines. We got governor of New York telling businesses to deny unvaccinated, like on television. Like,
Yeah.
it's getting insane, man. It's getting crazy. I can't imagine. Like, we got these other countries going through terrible things right now. These poor people in all these other countries, like from France, in Australia, people are getting pulled over and being forced to go to the hospital because they are unvaccinated, and they're being tackled.
Oh yeah, I saw that same video. Like,
yeah, man,
the
it's
cops
crazy.
were just tackling everyone who was standing around and then injecting them right on site.
Yeah,
like not even verifying if they have proof that they've been. It's like, what if they just got it?
Yeah. And you know what else I thought was crazy? Jaron mentioned this, and I never let it go. That it's the same amount, whether it's a 600-pound dude or a 90-pound woman,
Right?
Kid. It's the same amount. Throughout medicine, you would always give them an amount based off their weight, right? You don't want to overdose. But everyone's getting the same amount. Like that should bring up red flags right away. I like to thank the government, first of all. Thank you for lying to me and I found out all these lies. Thank you for that, because if that wasn't the case, I wouldn't have gone down these rabbit holes and became a lot smarter on the other end, because now I know the whole germ theory, terrain theory. Thanks. Now I know where I really live. Thanks. Like, you're just giving me more things to research when crap comes out. Like, we're never going to stop, and they're just going to keep trying to cut our tongues out and
and
content.
Flat Earth has really opened the door to so many things that I would have never even thought of. Like the whole mud flood thing, Tartaria. Like, like I had Michelle Gibson on my show, and she did a bunch of research.
I haven't watched it yet. I queued it, man. She does great stuff.
Oh yeah. And we went to San Antonio and we were seeing evidence of all these structures. Like the official story of the Alamo, it would blow your mind if you were to actually go there. I mean, you're not allowed to go in there and take photos of the Alamo. And they have these maps in there of how the original Alamo was like mapped out. And I noticed that the walls of the Alamo extended all the way to the edges of the river. So that means all the contents that were inside that fortiture actually surrounded some of those buildings. So those structures were there long before it's the 1700s, because the Alamo was built by the Spaniards in like 1718 or the Mexican government. And so those structures were there long before, and those fortitudes were built to protect those structures because they were there, probably 1,000 years before. And you can tell that whatever cataclysmic event that happened in the 1800s, that it was buried. But we don't even know for sure when the mud floods actually happened. We just know that there was a great reset, and the great population started to, the Americas were being repopulated during the mid 1800s.
Literally repopulated. Like,
yeah,
it's weird.
And
it's like we just picked up, or it's like we just adopted these structures and just built around all of them.
Right.
They were already here. It's I think all that was fascinating, and huge rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah, it's been blowing my mind. I had met Howdy McCoskey, and he was talking about the Chicago World Fairs and San Francisco. He's got like this whole playlist on all of this stuff, and that was like my first introduction to it. And all these structures that were supposedly temporary buildings, and then it was torn down after 6 months of the World Fairs. And these temporary structures, if they were temporary, how could you have 300,000 people in the stands watching these events, and yet it's a temporary structure that you could just easily tear down and burn?
Right.
And
buy that.
yeah, it's just like, I'd always been fascinated with all the structures in San Francisco, because my wife and I went there a couple of years ago, and those buildings were just so massive and huge. And I'm like, how are they able to build this in the 1800s? There's no freaking way.
In almost every downtown area of a major metropolis city, there is evidence of some type of mud flood, or, something happening. Like there's these original buildings within every downtown area where it looks like they just continued building on top, or it's so weird. You can, like, even when I went to Solar Return, me and my wife went down to the downtown area in Greenville, and the oldest hotel they got there, and the second oldest building right next to it, which was ironically a Freemason lodge, had a big old Freemason brick in it with a Master Mason name on it. And there was stairs leading down to lower levels, and it looks like the original doors are like 8 feet under the ground, and they just built right on top of them. Like they built a whole new set of stairs on top of the main doors, and then created new main doors. And you find evidence of that everywhere, dude. It's amazing. And then you find out like they're harnessing free energy from it, and you realize that maybe these ancient cathedrals, these old churches, were like healing centers. Like maybe those were the original hospitals. And places like the pyramids, they're all like on ley lines and lining up with celestial bodies. They're like ancient power plants, powering cities.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, this whole rabbit hole is so much deeper than just flat earth. I mean, that's just one thing aside from our hidden history. And I mean, she's uncovered like the whole Civil War was probably a big hoax. That the start of the Civil War, the storyline matches exactly how the Gulf of Tonkin started with a single gunshot. And how the
got heard around the world.
Yeah. And that a lot of the stuff is just it's just a facade. It's crazy until you investigate it yourself and you see all the evidence and you uncovered it. Like she has a video of like a collection of all these tours and news broadcasts that were revealing like these underground cities and on these major cities all over the country, and how the official story is that the city decided to bury the entire city 10 to 15 feet. And it's like, if that was to happen now and the mayor was to say, okay, we're going to bury everything, we're going to cover everything 10 feet deep, full of dirt, we're just going to start over. All right.
So sense does that make?
Yeah. And you're going to prepare to move your first floor to the second floor. And it makes no logical sense at all. Like no one would ever agree to that. Right. Not in the 1800s, not in the 1700s. Like it's all just propaganda bullshit.
What's another one I find fascinating is the whole giants thing. That's mind blowing to me. And like the North Pole, and I mean, there's a lot of attention on Antarctica, right? But I feel like we can find a lot of answers at the North Pole. They got all these maps all the way up into the late 1500s where they were showing 4 major islands at the North Pole. With Mount Meru in the center, these 4 rivers going out. But now anything older than like the late 1500s, 1600s until now, it's water, and sometimes they would have like ice caps up there. I think I like to think of of it as like maybe that's where everything is projecting from, the center. Kind of like how you go to an actual planetarium and you sit down and everything is projecting from the middle onto the ceiling. You know, it's kind of maybe it's something like that, and we're just, you know, that's just a man-made one, and we're a planetarium inside a planetarium.
Yeah.
You know?
We don't know because we can't go there.
That's right. And it's okay to not know. That's also the thing about modern day science. There's an answer for everything. We got it all figured out. There's nothing else to explore, nothing else to figure out. We know it all. There's an answer for everything. And if we don't have an answer, we got an equation for it. So
yeah, I'm curious to hear from that guy, because he was on an episode with Jaron and he was talking about being hired by the US Navy or something like that. And they went down, he was hired to go investigate the Antarctica, the real Antarctica. And he was kind of a flat earther. He came on the show and he was talking about all his doubts and everything. And he was going to come back and let everyone know what he discovered, but it's been a whole year. And
who is this?
I don't remember his name. I think I have it saved in my playlist somewhere, but I'd have to go back and look for it. It's something about Antarctica, and he was a science explorer. So he was hired to go down there and explore Antarctica, and he could still be there. I don't know. I mean, although
look into that.
Yeah, because I think he was hired to go during, because towards the end of the year is when it's the warmest there, because, the sun's closer to Antarctica. But like right now, it's probably the coldest it could possibly be because the sun's the furthest away, as because it circles closer to the North Pole.
Yeah, it travels in between the tropics.
Yeah.
Every 6 months. It's like a clock. We live in a beautiful clock.
It's such a perfect clock, and it all makes
amazing,
isn't it? Especially on the app when it shows you and it tells you exactly where the moon is, where the phase is, how the tropics make perfect sense. It doesn't make any sense on a ball. Like that's 23.5 degree tilt. That makes no freaking sense at all.
No. And there's no way to even prove that it's complete made up. Like there's no proof of that. Like makes no sense.
We're flying around the sun, which is 93 million miles away. We're going 66.7 thousand miles an hour around this 93 million mile circumference. It's just ridiculous.
And
bullshit.
Changing speeds because it's in an elliptical orbit. So you're actually slowing down and speeding up, which is like acceleration. Yeah. You always feel acceleration, right? Yeah. And I mean, to believe you live on a spinning ball, like you have to believe when watching a sunset, you're falling backwards faster than the speed of sound if you're watching a sunset. Or the sun's going away from you and it's going down due to perspective. Just like anything else, street lights, the amount of logic and the simplicity of all of these proofs is what is so damning. Like they have to put an equation on paper and tell you this long story of something that happened millions of years ago, when all we need to do is just use our everyday observations to debunk any of it. They got us, don't trust your five senses, trust us with the bow tie and the white lab coats. Start off a paragraph with majority of scientists agree or experts say that, and finish it off. And there you go. Experts all agreed though, bro.
Yeah. I mean, back in 2016, when I was visiting Dallas, we went to the Reunion Tower and we were at the very top and we were overlooking out in the distance, and there was not that much humidity. So you could see for like miles and miles and miles. I don't know how it felt, like hundreds of miles I could see out. I was like, holy shit, this is really flat. This is the flattest thing I've ever seen. Because usually when I look out, when I lived in California, we'd always see mountains. So everything was blocked by some form, like mountain of some sort. But in Dallas, I mean, it's all flat land. So you literally could see for like hundreds of miles. And even back then I was like, even questioning, like, where's the curvature? I shouldn't be seeing this far, but I kept it to myself because I would have sounded like a damn fool.
I remember the first time I went to the beach after knowing this, right? And just like taking a long look out into the water and just like, oh my gosh, this place is so flat. How did I ever, like, the brainwashing is so hardcore for me to think that when I'm observing all this huge ocean right here, as far as I can see, level, and I'm thinking to myself, so it's flat, but then over there where I can't see it starts curving away. It's like, no, man, dude, we are being lied to. It was just like to be out there and just like realize at the same time, like, oh my gosh, it's been right in front of my face my whole life, like our whole lives, man.
Yeah,
it's everything. Like a can of soda, right, debunks the globe. It's contained, it levels off, and when you open it, it equilibrates right away, you know.
The vacuum disappears and equalizes.
Yeah, it's amazing. Science is very simple, and they got people thinking that they're not smart enough to understand, you know.
Oh, but gravity holds in the air and the atmosphere.
Gravity is my container.
Yeah, and then I have this video that I always keep handy for, you know, when I have an argument about gravity. And it's a professor from MIT, and he debunks the whole theory that gravity even exists, and that it only exists in space. And yet we can't prove the existence of gravity in space because we can't actually go there. So
yeah, Martin Lewin.
Might be.
Yeah, he's great. He does great stuff. Good Times for All talks about him a lot. Zach Zabala.
Yeah.
Which I love his stuff. I think he even sent me a video of his once when I had that Adam guy on the show. Yeah, it's just, you know, a lot of people don't even realize that there's a lot of people, a lot of scientists who do believe that the earth is flat. You know, there's a lot of big, smart people that they know this truth, and they're just not public about it, you know.
Well, they can't, because their money comes from the government.
Yeah, they'll lose everything, you know.
Yeah.
Not only that, you'll lose friendships. Like, imagine these people, you know, like Michio Kaku. You know, he can't, even if he wanted to, he couldn't. He would lose his status. You know, who knows what else he would lose, you know. And these people don't want to lose that. They're choosing money over morals. That's what everybody's doing. That's what doctors are doing right now.
Most of the money is coming from the government, and you can't question their method. So, you know, otherwise their funding goes away.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing that I try to get in people's minds, is that that the space program is so massive. I mean, right before Trump left office, he signed that 463 million or billion. Was it $1 billion?
It was billion, I think. And he had those two females next to him.
$463 billion Space Force bill, which is still happening.
Yeah.
And that just
Biden doesn't want to throw that one out, right? Let's keep the space program.
So it's not $56 million a day. It's way more than that if you add the $463 billion.
It surpasses the movie industry, the music industry, and the video game industry combined. And the video game industry shatters the movie and the music industry together. And
that's the biggest mind control.
Oh yeah. Oh man. You want to talk about programming, dude. My son plays games, and I play a few with him. It's just like overwhelming sometimes. I gotta kick him off and stuff sometimes. Like, good, no, you only got so many time on this thing.
Yeah, you gotta really set limits. You definitely have to set limits, because they get obsessed.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, so what were you saying about the space industry and how much money?
Yeah, that's, you know, they got, so the video game industry is, you know, more than the movie and the music combined. But then you got the space industry that just surpasses all three, like, and some. The amount of money they're putting into the idea of space and all this stuff is insane when you look into it. But people don't care about that. You know, nobody cares. You know, they
just look at their TikTok and their Instagram and
looking for baddies on the gram.
Yeah, and then they believe all the I don't know if you've watched any of like some of the IGTV like short videos of like astronauts in space. I mean, it looks real.
Mhm.
It looks
It
more
does.
real than what NASA puts out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, that's what I was getting to earlier with the whole, like 20 years ago on a spacewalk, it would look really 2D and fake, and then today they're using like an actual footage of like from an air weather balloon or whatever, high altitude balloon, and then tilting it and then curving it, and that looks very real, right? Like, if you know, of course we thought that shit was real back in the day. You were showing it to your class back then.
Yeah, and it
But
looked fake as
within,
shit.
but within 10 to 15 years, this technology, so it's just going to keep getting better and better. And then here's another thing that kind of sucks. This community is so good at what they're doing. Like Jaren, you know, we point out one of their mistakes and then they're like, hey, thanks, we're going to fix that now. Like, and then they completely get rid of it. And now it's not something we can point out anymore, you know? Right. Like, I mean, the problem with the 24-hour camera in Antarctica is still there, but like one day I feel like they're going to solve that problem. And it was Jaren to call it out. You know what I mean? He's like, hold on, this footage is even fully 24-hour footage.
You know, they watch his channel. They watch all of our channels.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And I feel like they're like, oh, what a great idea. Look, they fixed our problem for us, you know? Like, honestly, I feel like that's what they do. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword when we're getting our voices out there. But I feel like it's going to be harder and harder to really debunk these videos and stuff. Like, the technology is getting better and better, that, you know, we really just got to stay focused with observations and what we can see in reality. You know, I'm not going to trust anything on a screen that's given to me by the government, nasa.gov.
That's why it's so, you see so much anti-flat earth propaganda on every social media platform, especially Instagram, where they just have, oh, look how ridiculous it is, and they always show the disc in space with water falling off, or they have it on top of a turtle or something ridiculous. So if you're not a flat earther but you've been questioning it and you see that and they're like, oh, I'm not going to believe this shit, because my brother had brought a picture up to me back in 2015 and he's like, hey, check this out, do you think this is possible? And I was like, no, this looks freaking ridiculous as anything I've ever seen. It's pure fantasy. So I never looked at it again. It wasn't until I talked to that astronaut or engineer that I started to like seriously think about it.
Man, that would have been amazing to experience that. Like, Uber driving that guy and he's telling you, I'd be what did you just say?
Yeah, he told me a bunch of other stuff too. Like, the whole global warming thing was just a political like stunt, that it's just a tool just to divide people, that global warming doesn't exist, that everything that happens in this world is cyclical, and that everything repeats every 10 years. And he did say something about there is something that is moving, but we don't know what it is, but the North Pole is changing its trajectory. And it didn't occur to me until I watched that Irwar Annan video.
Dude, that's where I was about to go too, man.
And I was like, oh shit.
And then that will also tie in the whole mud flood thing, right? Because if the star's moving and the sun's moving with it, well, then it's all freezing over. And then what happens when ice melts, right? You get like a huge mud, like the land under the ice is going to get all muddy, right? So then it all like levels out and stuff is half buried or completely buried as when the star is coming back around, you know.
And that explains why.
Really opened my eyes up to other things. I didn't even want to accept it at first. I was fighting it at first. I was like, man, no way. I was like, who's
this guy?
Yeah. Come on. The moon's a map. Get the hell out of here, dude.
My wife and I, we were driving back from Cleveland, and then we were kind of like 30 minutes in, and we're like, well, we got 5 hours of driving to do. Let's watch the whole thing.
Right. Yeah.
And we watched the whole thing, and it all made perfect sense. Like, why the glaciers are breaking off and melting into the ocean. It's because we have this slow movement, and it could explain why the civilization that was here long before died off, or they moved to the other continent. you
Right.
know, back in the
Right.
day.
Yeah, and what if these like control, because on that map, right, they have, so like the center where like the outer edge of Antarctica, right?
Mhm.
There's like a spot as that star rotates, there's a spot in the center that will always stay melted, right? So I feel like that's why these elites are going to Antarctica. There's this one spot in Antarctica, what we call Antarctica, right? So
Yeah.
when the map is going, the star's going around and the sun's following it, there's a spot in the very center that completely stays stalled out. No matter where it is rotating, there's this spot in the center that always is stalled out. And I feel like these elites, these controllers,
Oh.
whoever they are, can have their base set up right there. And that's why you got people flying to and from Antarctica. Maybe you got John
Sure.
Kerry going there during election times, right? And you got they're sending all kinds of Tom Hanks. What the hell is he going down there for? You know?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I don't know. It was very fascinating. I'm planning on watching that one again. I just
Yeah.
put it to the watch later, just like the other day.
Whenever I can't find something to watch, I just throw that on because I have insomnia quite a bit.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too.
But, you know, the first 3 months that I discovered that the earth was flat, I literally was just watching every single video that I could find for like the first 3 months. And I really haven't stopped. It's
Me
just
neither.
my brain is not as clouded anymore because I was like in this like, oh my God, you know, what did I just discover? And God exists, and you know, his name isn't really God, it's Jehovah.
Yeah.
You know, and all these things of listening to Austin Whitsitt and, you know,
Yeah.
like
It's good, man. I think it's food for the soul.
this
You know?
whole community has changed my life completely. Like, you know, remember when he and oh God, who was he having that? He was doing the whole tour and
With
you know,
Nathan Thompson.
Nathan Thompson, and they were gonna
Yeah.
go and fight each other, and Alex Stein was gonna set up the whole.
Oh yeah, that was
fight.
good, dude. I liked how Alex brought them on like that and did that. That was really
Yeah.
good.
But I had offered Austin Whitsitt free lessons at our mixed martial arts studio, and my
What?
wife is
That's
just
cool.
yeah, because my wife is an instructor and she's like the program director, but we were going to give him free lessons to prepare for the fight.
Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome. You know, I don't even want to talk about that. I'm glad Austin is not around that and doing his own thing.
Yeah.
He's way better off, and he's been doing
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
You know, been doing so good. But speaking of mixed martial arts, we're signing our boys up for that.
Nice.
Because, you know, we homeschool and there's not really much of a gym class. So, and it's, my wife just kicked them outside before I got on here with you. And they're like, stay outside, you know, it's hard to keep them outside. So we're going to get them into, some mixed martial arts classes for them. I think it'd be good for them.
Oh yeah. It's good discipline. You
Yes.
learn hand-eye coordination, and you learn how to move your limbs. You know, when I was a kid, I was terrible at coordination, and you know,
My oldest is terrible at it. That's why I want to sign him up for it. Like, terrible.
Yeah.
He's not a sports guy.
My reflexes are so much better ever since, you know, because I took it when I was a kid, but I stopped around 16, and then now I'm pursuing getting my black belt for the first time, and it's much harder, but I'm having more fun at it because when you're a kid, you kind of you're always in your head, and
Right.
you know, you're always worried about people watching you and judging you. Now I don't give a shit, you know.
Yeah, right. I know you don't. You're saying the earth is flat. We obviously don't give a shit anymore.
Right. I'm so glad I'm over that hump because I was so like worried.
I had that little problem. My wife didn't. Like, she was like, there's a couple of times we'd be out in public with people and she would just say, yeah, so you guys know the earth is flat? And I'm just like looking at her like, shut the fuck up. Shut up right now.
They're gonna think we're nuts. They're never gonna hang out with us again.
What the hell? That's not how you do that. And she's like, I don't care. Like, it's flat, babe. Like, she's like, what? It's like, babe, what the hell? I'm still researching it, I think.
Yeah,
And
now
she's like
she
that now. She's like that with COVID too. Like, we go to the grocery store or something, and the lady's like ringing us up, and she's like, "Did you get the shot?" I'm like, "Oh my god, why'd you ask her that?" And then the lady would be like, "Yeah," and then I cringe even more. And then my wife is like, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that." I'm like bagging the food up. I'm like, I'm ready to get up out of here, dude. This is so awkward. Because we're the only ones, and there's a huge line, and I know everyone behind us got the shot, and it's like, Kaylee, quiet, be quiet right now.
Yeah, like for the longest time, like we've always been kind of like we've always agreed with like our politics and like the conspiracies. So when I introduced her to this, I didn't think it was going to be that difficult, but she did have a little bit of resistance, because she was believing all the science. I'm like, well, the science, I mean, if you really look at the science, it doesn't make any sense, right? And it really doesn't. When you really look at the numbers, you look at the facts, you look at all the statements that scientists have made over the years, none of it makes sense. Man, it is all philosophy and unproven statistics and everything. It's just crazy.
It's crazy. It's it's quite a journey, man. I wouldn't change anything. I feel like now that I'm like, know this truth, and it's just, I can't ever go back to that life. I can't go back. Like,
no,
something did change inside of me. Yeah. Like this, I think this is very important. I think that's why they hit it. Like, look what this does to everybody. This isn't just like a one-off thing like me and you. This happens to everybody that comes across this, and then they become a better version of themselves. I haven't seen anybody like downgrade after this, like become a bad person. I mean, I've been across some people where I got bad vibes, but for the most part, people in this community that know this truth are amazing people. It's all love and peace, and it's great energy. It's good to be around. It's good when you're not falling for the psyops and these division tools, and
and nobody has nobody has like a huge ego either. Like everybody's down to earth, like they're real people.
And we even all have different. I mean, we all know that we don't live on a globe, right? But we all do have our different way we look at flat earth and way we look at other truths and stuff like that, and we can do that without being divisive and fighting and stuff. It's good to put heads together and come up with ideas and share your thoughts with others, and
because you never know,
manifest into something.
One of these days we are going to have to like come together and survive together. It may come to that.
Yes. I don't want it. I mean, it's like, do I want it? I want to be around people like us personally and be in a community like that, but I don't want it to be because there's nowhere else. You know what I mean? Right. Like, I don't want it. I mean, I do see it becoming like that. Like,
I mean, they did it to the Indians.
Is in a bubble. Yeah. And we're in a bubble. There's a lot of people in America that are literally in a bubble, have no clue with what's going on in the outside world.
Right.
There's craziness going on in these other countries that don't have guns in every house. I mean, that's the difference, I think, here. I think in America, they have to do more of a psychological operation, because if they showed their hand the way they do in other countries, it would really mess up things, because here there's guns. Like, I own guns, I know a lot of people who own guns. And there's a lot of states that have a militia, like in North Carolina or South Carolina. I think the whole state, I think the governor has every citizen in the state is part of the militia. So, nice. There could be a day where America becomes divided up in a few different countries. I mean, you could see that.
Well, have you watched some of the documentaries about Agenda 21 and 2030 and how everything's supposed to be divided
up in FEMA sections?
Right. So there's like 7 states, something like that. And
and I see that,
Yeah.
They're saying one world government, but they can divide us up and it can still all be one world government. I mean,
and it's
all definitely
divided.
on its way. It's in full effect, and this is all documented. You can go down to your local courthouse and find the paperwork for Agenda 21 and Agenda 30 in every single one. This isn't conspiracy. This is a real thing, that's been established for a while. So.
Yeah, that was one of the first things that I opened my eyes to this whole conspiracy, is that there was a group of professors that were just going around from city to city trying to wake up everybody. It's like, this is happening. This is coming, this is something that's real, and people were just ignoring it, you know?
Yeah, I would like to see those documentaries again. There's this one lady, I forgot her name. She had like white hair, and
she just recently died.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
She was real vocal about it. How'd she die?
I don't know. They don't disclose how people die anymore.
Well,
if you've noticed.
I don't. I mean, we can guess, right? How she died.
Now they just say, well, family, prefers to not disclose.
Well, that's one thing, right? So they're saying, but then they'll take pictures of like people. So like they show like a COVID ad, and there's like a picture of like people in hazmat suits, and they're taking care of a patient who is supposedly about to die.
Yeah.
That's not real. You can't like go in and take a picture of a patient without their permission and put it on something. Like that should be give people red
planned.
Flags. Right. But people will look at that and be like, oh, that person's dying,
But
and their last breath was, if only I got that vax.
Yeah. Then that's the thing, that they're not disclosing any deaths at all unless you're unvaccinated. Then that's when they'll disclose it. That's okay.
So crazy, dude. I'm glad I'm in Florida right now, even though it's like, this whole COVID thing has put flat Earth aside a little bit. I mean, I don't think flat Earth was really gone anywhere. There's just other things that are more important, right? But that's my true passion, man. I love the whole idea of cosmology. I even like it even better. It's more of an intimate relationship now. Now you know that everything in the sky is much closer to you. We're all part of this system. Humans can't leave this system, not in these meat suits. Anyways, this is our means of transportation here, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very intimate relationship with this realm, and I love it.
Yeah, I don't see what the problem is. Like, so what if we can't go to space? It's not like you're personally going to go out there anyway, Right.
I'm not fond of floating around anyways. I like being on the ground.
I don't want to go to freaking Mars, even if we could.
Right? It looks terrible, dude.
Yeah. I mean,
oh man.
Millions. I mean, like we're expected to believe Mars is 245 million miles away. And I did the math. We would have to fly 24,000 miles an hour in order to get there within 6 months. That's ridiculous.
That is insane.
We don't have any technology that could go that fast. And
None at all.
We're expected to believe. I mean, we can't even get to Mach 2 to jettison out of the atmosphere. And yet we're to believe that these rockets that barely get to the speed of sound are you're getting past the
the Blackbird going like Mach, what's it, Mach 2.3 or something?
Yeah.
The Black Hawk or whatever.
2,345 miles an hour.
Look at the design on that thing. And then you got that bulky ass space shuttle supposed to be going Mach 23. Get out of here.
That's ridiculous.
It's insane.
There's no way.
No way.
It would disintegrate.
And then the idea that like we're looking at something in the sky and they tell you it came to be 10 million years ago and it's gonna die out in 5 million years, and there's helium and all these other dust and gases right there, right? But there's no machine on the face of this earth that, like, if I put a gas in this bottle and put it a mile down the road, there's no machine, no device anywhere that could detect what's in this bottle a mile away. We're expected to know what's light years away. Like, people can't even understand what a light year is, Like, yeah. It's so, but the closest star is supposed to be 40,000 light years, right? I think.
I don't remember.
it's dude, it's
Whatever it is,
insane to
it's
think that.
ridiculously stupid.
Yeah. The angular resolution limit of our eyes. Like, and again, another simple thing to prove that what we're seeing is not that far.
Oh, but
Everything
it's
is
burnt
very
out.
close.
What we're seeing is the after of
Because light travels, right?
right.
If light traveled, okay, that means the photon would, from the center of the sun to the surface of the sun, I think it takes like, I could be wrong, but a few years, like 8-10 years. But then from the surface of the sun to my eyeball, it takes 8 minutes. A photon traveling that fast, hitting my eye. You think I'd feel that, right? Like, light doesn't travel, it propagates. It just happens in the ether, and it can't go on forever, you know. It's all this stuff has made me actually a lot smarter. You know, you think you're smart when you're like, oh yeah, space and raining diamonds and jello textured oceans, and it's like, wait, none of this shit's real. I can't believe I believed it rained diamonds. Like,
all fantasy.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. It's coming up on almost 2 hours.
Yeah, man.
Which is nothing. But I have, speaking of mixed martial arts, I have training tonight, and
cool.
Got to feed the dog.
Look at the shirt I got, or the hat got made.
Nice.
Yeah,
we didn't even really talk about your show.
It's all right.
When did you come up with the idea of the show and all that? And how did you meet Christopher Knapp?
Oh, well, I've been wanting to do a show, right? I've been wanting to get my voice out there, right? And I was just using Facebook, and I was getting kicked off all the time. And I wanted to do it. My wife's like, you should do it. You know, you got so much up in your head, you know, you just let it out. And it's like the whole being in front of the camera was awkward to me. And then, so we went to Solar Return, and I met a lot of people there. I met Christian Knapp, and dude, we hit it off like immediately. He's a family man. I'm a family man. You know, we smoked together out there. He's the one that I clicked with the most out there. Like, he was so cool. And I didn't even bring it up. He brought it up. He's like, hey man, we should do a show together. I'm like, dude, that's so crazy. I've been wanting to do a show or something.
Nice.
And he's like, man, we should totally do one together. I feel like we should. And came back home, and we started it. Here we are. Like, we've done almost over 30 shows, I think, so far.
Yeah, you've done a lot. You just started this in March?
Yeah.
Is that when it happened?
Yeah. And we do 2 shows a week. We got the Wake and Bake every Sunday morning at 9. And we try to keep that one a little light because we want to try and get everyone's week to start off on a good note and high vibration and stuff like that, spreading out love. Like, it's a feel, dude. I love the feeling, just like the community and the chat. And then we do another show. Like, we got a show tomorrow at 7 p.m. with LC King. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
He's going to come on, and we're going to talk about, we're going to get in depth into a flat earth model that he has created. That's going to be kind of like an electrical universe type deal. We get into things like that. Like, we had Cammy and Odell on,
dude,
talking about
that
the firmament. That was a great one, dude. We're getting her on again.
She blew my mind.
She is so smart, dude. I found out, I was like, okay, so Bob's not the genius, it's you. You're the genius.
Right?
Yeah, she's great, man. After that show, we hung out on the computer for like almost an hour after the show.
Wow.
We just kept talking, and she's an amazing person. I can't wait to send my kids over to, she does this table at Flattoberfest and Solar Return called How the World Works, has magnets and all her little gadgets there.
Yeah.
Can't wait to send my kids over to play with all that stuff.
So
But yeah,
cool.
we do a show. It's called the Mellowdome. Right here, we got shirts.
Boom.
We make them ourselves at the house. My wife makes them.
Oh, wow.
We got the whole equipment here. We're doing it all ourselves.
That takes up a lot of
been
room.
Great. It does. It definitely does. I'm telling you, when we move, we're going to need a whole nother separate room for all this stuff. Like, it's I love what we're doing. It's great. Me and Christian, we're having a lot of fun doing it. The connection we're getting with people is great. Like we have conversations going in the chat during the show that are so great. I started a Telegram group. So now that conversation keeps going in between shows, and just the amount of love and information being shared in that group is just, it's great. Like it's really a family to me. I love every single one of them. You know, it's working out really, really well.
Yeah. Nice.
I wouldn't change a thing. I love it. It's so fun. Like I'm glad it happened the way it did. It really feels like it meant to be.
Do you know who Dave Murphy is?
Yes, absolutely, man.
Allegedly Dave. He's coming on my show. Not this weekend, but next weekend.
Dude, that's awesome. I can't wait to listen to that one. Yeah. I gotta reach out
he's
to
like
him
OG.
and try to get him on. Yeah, man. He's an OG for real. He's so smart. You know, I've watched his videos. He's debated like astrophysicists and had the astrophysicists stuttering. Like, what? Like he didn't know what to think, man. He is amazing. Like for real. I gotta reach out to him, try to get him on the Mellowdome. That would be great. I'm looking forward to that one, dude. Let me know when that one comes out.
That's the thing about this community. Like everybody responds, even if they can't do the show, they respond, and they're very courteous and very, very respectful. Like I reached out to Eric Dubé, and he just said he had a lot of stuff on his plate and he couldn't do it right now, but he would do it in the future.
I've had conversations with him, and he's always been nice to me. You know, I've heard he's been kind of an asshole to people, but I mean, for the most part, I haven't had any problems with anybody in this community. This is a really special group of people, to be honest with you. It's awesome. And I'm glad you're a part of it, dude. I like it. This is cool.
Yeah, I love it. You know, like I've met so many cool people, and you know, like I live pretty close to Matt Long, and
oh yeah, dude, he's awesome, man. Woketown.
Yeah, like I want to meet him, but his meetups haven't been working out with my schedule. So
yeah, they've thrown quite a bit, right?
Yeah, they
live in Texas now. They left Canada.
Yeah, they're in Fort Worth. Yeah, they were living in Canada, but I'm glad they moved here.
Yeah, that's smart.
That is one lockdown country.
Yeah, they got out in time.
Yeah, you can't do anything out there.
It's so crazy what's going on.
Yeah,
but yeah, man, this was a lot of fun. We got to get you on my show sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sorry I couldn't be more interesting. You know, I've tried my best.
About? You're very interesting.
I know, but you had people like Karen. You had like legends on, dude, and it's like I look like when you did a great one with a conspiracy music guru. Man, I love that guy. Yeah. He's awesome, dude. You're a cool guy.
I never listened to any of his...
He was drinking his wine and just talking to you, man. What a cool dude.
I really didn't know what to expect because I really didn't do a lot of research on him. And he just blew my mind. I was like, wow.
Right?
And then he had so many followers like watching the show. It was like, holy shit. Like 3,600 people watched it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
It was crazy.
Yeah, he's fucking awesome. His music's great. My kids love the funny ones, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude.
All right, man. Well, it was great having you on here, and
thank you for having me on.
Definitely do it again, and hopefully, when it's not too late, I'll jump on your show, and we'll actually schedule that out, or I'll just come on during Wake and Bake one of these mornings.
Dude, whenever you want, man. Come on, whenever you want. Warm welcome.
Yeah, I'll smoke with you. I don't smoke that often, but you know, I mostly do it to go to sleep. I
knew it. I knew you smoked.
I just don't advertise it or talk about it that much, you know, because I never know who's watching.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You're not worried about the flat Earth though, right? Right. I know, man. I get it. It comes with a stigma. People like to look at you a certain way if they see you smoking pot, especially on camera and stuff. Yeah. But you know, to me, it's really second nature. Like my parents are not around anymore, but the thing we did together as a family was smoke together.
Yeah.
So I mean, look at me. I'm full blown hippie. I got Janis Joplin behind me. I got Bob Marley behind me.
Nice.
But yeah. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
Yeah, I really, while I like to come out to Solar Returns, my wife is actually trying to write a song, like a Flat Earth song. And
Nice.
because she's a singer songwriter.
Well, that's what Solar Return is. It's more of a music festival, you know?
Yeah.
It's dude, that'd be awesome if you can make it out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to meet all you guys and hang out and just chill and smoke a nice fat one.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of smoking going on, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, shit, they're always doing that on the Baby Truther show.
Yeah, right. I love that show. That's a good show.
Yeah. A lot of fun. All right, man.
Yeah.
It was good talking to you. It was great having you on here, and we'll
Thank
hook
you.
up again real soon.
Yes, sir.
All right, babe. All right.
Take care, brother.
You take care.
Bye.
Later. Thank you so much for watching this episode of KGUP Presents. Be sure to follow Awesome Austin on the Mellowdome, including Wake and Bake, by clicking the link in the description. And if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. And if you love this show, you can support us by purchasing a t-shirt, hat, or even a sling bag. Just go to www.kgup1065.com/shop. The links are also in the description, and they are only $13 for this awesome t-shirt. Be sure to tune in next time because we have another special guest. We have the legendary Dave Murphy, otherwise known as Allegedly Dave. And yeah, I'm excited to have him on. I can't believe he said yes. So I'm pretty excited. Thanks again for watching KGUP Presents. Until next time, this is Mikey Jayy. I'm out.